Good afternoon. Welcome back to the spring 2022 semester. On behalf of the Faculty Senate, I extend the warmest welcome to all members of the UHD community. I know that it has been a difficult 2 years, and that just when we think we are seeing an end to the pandemic, we are once again confronted with another wave caused by another variant of the virus. At times, it seems that the circumstances we currently live in will never change. It may seem to some members of the community that not enough is being done regarding the return to campus. I can honestly state that what can be done within the parameters set down by state law to protect the welfare of our community is being done. However, the changes and modifications to our return to campus are the main priority for the Faculty Senate. We want to ensure as much as possible that the faculty, staff, and students are safe and that the correct choices are being made when it comes to the safety and well-being of the UHD community. President Blanchard, his extended cabinet, and other administration officials have openly, transparently, and collaboratively sought out frequent input and advice. President Blanchard, in particular, has maintained frequent contact and solicited feedback regarding the reopening of the school. In addition to the safe return to campus, the Faculty Senate will continue its work by making sure that all policies are being followed as written, by being fully engaged in the development of the next budget that will ensure the implementation of the faculty salary adjustments recommended by the market study, and addressing faculty concerns regarding the overreach or infelicities of administrators. The Senate will also do its best to combat the over-increasing service load that manifests itself in excessive committee work. I hope that your return to campus is a safe one. If there is anything that the Senate can do for you, never hesitate to contact one of the senators or me. I want to finish, if I may, by briefly quoting some sections from the Faculty Handbook. Open quote. The Faculty Senate is the official representational body of the UHD faculty. The Senate is led by officers who are elected via university-wide elections and governed by the Senate Constitution. The Faculty Senate meets to discuss policy, offer input on university processes and initiatives, address faculty concerns, and interact with other shared governance bodies. The Senate is led by the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, FSEC. It meets regularly to determine agendas, oversee Senate initiatives, keep faculty informed on key issues, and represent faculty in conversation with administration and other bodies. Close quote. The Senate, however, cannot do anything unless it has vigorous support from the faculty. I say this to remind all the faculty to complete the survey that was sent out to try to determine the level of committee work of the faculty. Once again, welcome back.
Thank you, Dr. Cueva. Greetings, Gator family. As a current Staff Council President, it's a joy and honor to welcome you back for the spring 2022 semester. Amid the ongoing pandemic, I understand that we are returning with a sense of fatigue, but we're also returning stronger. And despite the struggles of the times, today I am grateful. I'm grateful to our students for waking up each day to take on the challenges of learning and growing, adapting with a positive spirit. I'm grateful to UHD for placing technology, operations, and safety as top priorities with measures such as installing facility upgrades like HyFlex classrooms, mask dispensers, and sanitizing stations. Also maintaining free testing kiosks, hosting multiple vaccination events, and providing flexibility when able. But mostly, I'm grateful to all of you for helping to make UHD a place families can depend on for their education while understanding that everyone is doing their best in a difficult situation. For more than 20 months now, the sacrifices that you have made, compassion you have shown, and your undaunted determination and dedication have furthered the academic mission and vision of the University of Houston Downtown. We have so much to be proud of and so much more to do. As we move into this semester, I know everyone will continue doing their best to maintain our long track record of success. The Gator community clearly knows how to rise above life's storms. Whatever 2022 brings, I'm grateful to take on the challenges and opportunities with you. Best wishes for a safe, healthy, and happy spring semester. And now, it's my privilege to present UHD's president, Dr. Lauren Blanchard.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Ed Cueva and Ms. Caroline Smith. And good afternoon, University of Houston Downtown faculty and staff. Welcome to the Spring 2022 opening meeting. As you may remember, we also held an introductory meeting for the fall semester, and I'm equally as glad to see you this time around as well. There are a few changes from last fall's opening meeting. First, we are hosting faculty and staff together rather than conducting two separate events. Secondly, our primary speakers will include campus leaders who will provide important information as it relates to spring 2022. And finally, today's gathering is designed to provide critical details on our campus operations this semester and an overview of things to come this spring. So in a short time, we have a lot to cover. And I want to dive directly into the business at hand because we have a promising semester ahead of us. And I want to make sure that we are all abreast of the happenings of the University of Houston Downtown. As our institution grows and considers new approaches to serving our students and our communities, it is you, the faculty and staff, who will be leading that charge. UHD will depend on your steadfast knowledge and expertise to help our campus expand to new and exciting endeavors. You are the interconnective tissue that helps to hold our university together, unified. And you will be just as, if not even more critical in the future as our campus strives for its greatest achievements ever. With that in mind, the purpose of this spring opening meeting is to provide a snapshot of our university. The first thing I must mention is that we are still holding a soft opening this semester, which is helping to decrease the density of people on campus. We will maintain the soft opening status with an expectation to resume regular operations on Monday, February 7th, 2022. And of course, we are steadily working with city, state, and national sources to track any developments that might alter that timeline or any operations on campus. You will hear more on this topic shortly from Interim Provost Akeef Usman. We also are hosting vaccination clinics each month in partnership with HEB. Masks and hand sanitizer are available all across campus. Plus, Curative set up a testing kiosk right next to the Jesse H. Jones Student Life Center, which is open 7 days a week and is free. Yes, I said it, F-R-E-E, to the entire university community. These adjustments are the result of the pandemic. I know we've entered the third academic year of living with the coronavirus, but I really implore you that we all together have to remain vigilant. As we do start welcoming people back to campus, one of the events I'm most looking forward to is the President's Lecture Series. In this series, we welcome guests and host panel discussions on topics like health equity in communities of color, environmental justice and sustainability, and inclusive excellence in creating diverse organizations. This newly minted series is sponsored in part by the ECMC Foundation, and it will continue on February 9th with acclaimed journalist and scholar Nicole Hannah Jones for a virtual discussion on truth, history, and the 1619 Project. These talks are engaging and insightful, and they really provide the bedrock for creating the types of necessary conversations that move our campus and our community forward. Speaking of necessary conversations, 2 weeks ago we hosted Dr. Nisi Hamilton. She shared her journey through human trafficking and her passion for advocacy work during an event titled UHD Stands Against Human Trafficking. If you weren't able to make it, please know it was a powerful event. And by the way, Nisi is a proud UHD alum. This event, like so many before it, shows that the campus is not only a welcoming place for challenging discourse, but it also shows that UHD is on the cusp of what is happening in our communities. Our campus continues to be more in tune with what our students and constituents need, how we educate them, and how we encourage awareness through discourse. It exemplifies our dedication to operating as an anchor institution, while also modeling the change we want to see across our city and beyond. Another topic I'm sure many of you are interested in is the strategic plan. It's no secret here that the University of Houston Downtown is on the rise, and our strategic planning committee wants to ensure that UHD's trajectory does in fact advance us to new heights. The committee convened its first meeting last semester to begin an ambitious yet significant process to ignite a conversation among UHD's prized stakeholders, its students, faculty, and staff. And by looking ahead, the plan's theme, A New Paradigm for Houston's Most Diverse Public University, seeks to determine how UHD can position itself as a model Hispanic and minority-serving institution across the city, region, and the nation. The strategic plan is a springboard to the SAC COC fifth-year review, which will be underway shortly. As everyone is aware, accreditation by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, Commission on Colleges, is the barometer of excellence in higher education. So this process is indeed critical. It will be stringent and will most definitely show us where we are strong and where we need to improve in our overall academic enterprise. I know that with focus, we can utilize this time and feedback to strengthen and resolve and further commit our energies toward creating not just a university for Houston, but the university for Houston. The work that goes into this process is also quite meticulous and will require time and effort in collecting the required data and documentation. As you can tell, there is much to be done, but I know the team is working diligently to not only achieve our goals, but to continue UHD's momentum. You'll hear more later regarding this work from Associate Vice President Dr. Sheila Lloyd. Another point as we look toward the future will be the presidential investiture, my investiture, as UHD's 7th president, which is currently scheduled for May. You'll get more information shortly. It is counted among the oldest of customs in academia and is a ceremony of dignity with many traditions and protocols. This is a celebration we should all look forward to as it encompasses all the components of UHD: faculty, staff, students, alumni, community partners, friends from around the nation, our programs, our campus, our reputation, and our identity. We will have many events planned, including an alumni and friends gala. I look forward to meeting those professionals who represent our more than 60,000 alumni at this event and hearing them recount their transformative experiences as a Gator. It will be one for the books. As I think about these events and milestones happening in our near future, I want to reflect on the work that has enabled us to reach this point. And of course, I want the overarching theme of today's conversations to underscore the University of Houston Downtown's goals that align with the context of our path forward, our institutional compass. As you know, UHD's institutional compass serves as a directional guide in all that we do. Its 4 points of excellence include strengthening justice, bolstering student success and equity, supporting institutional excellence, and growing as an anchor institution. Let's recap some of the highlights that demonstrate our commitment to these tenets. Just last month, we hosted our 71st annual commencement ceremony at NRG Stadium, our first regularly scheduled commencement event since 2019. We welcomed more than 2,100 graduates to the stage to recognize their academic journeys and confer their college degrees. It was the largest fall commencement in UHD's history, and I congratulate everyone involved in helping those newest Forever Gators to reach their goals. During that ceremony, we highlighted students who demonstrate the everyday success of the Gator community. We witnessed stories of students who had beat overwhelming difficulties, like living as a quadriplegic, yet still finding the drive to complete a master's degree, and of students who were braving new paths, as in the first graduate from UHD's University College to major in both of its degree programs, the Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences in Applied Administration and the Bachelor of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies. What's more, those most recent UHD alumni are giving back to their fellow Gators. During this commencement season alone, students donated by supporting their respective colleges or the UHD General Scholarship Fund. Our most recent alumni are recognizing the worth their diploma brings, and they are helping to make it easier for future graduates to attain that same status. One student said it best, "I just wanted to give back to UHD since it has done so much for me." I must say, our students are inspiring with their forethought as they help build not only their success stories, but also our future students' success stories. And our students are worth it. Just look at a few more of the accomplishments from the last year. Last summer, 7 students took their service to a new level of participation in the inaugural City of Houston's Mayor's Summer Internship Program. Through civic engagement, they applied the knowledge and skills gained here at UHD to make a difference in our city, and some of them went on to find full-time employment with the city as a result. In the last year, University of Houston Downtown Honors Program students Tuba Narejo and Gladys Chan's presentation of, quote, "Virtually engaged communities strive for equitable societies and environmental justice," unquote, took the first place spotlight in their division at the National Collegiate Honors Council Annual Conference in Orlando, Florida. UHD proud. Gators volunteered as community organizers by setting up voter registration drives as we enter a new election season. And we hosted a food drive for our neighbors in my home state, Louisiana, during Hurricane Ida. As a result of this, we received a personalized letter from Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, thanking the UHD community for helping the students and families of Southeast Louisiana when they were at their most vulnerable point of their lives. And to prove it is not all work and that there is some fun to be had, our esports League of Legends team competed at the gold level, and they too won first place for the Summer Championship Series through GG Leagues. Our students have many success stories to tell, and it is our job to ensure that every student has a success story to tell. Fortifying student success is often a result of our programming. Other times it happens thanks to our improvements in our facilities infrastructure. If anyone has parked recently near the College of Science and Technology, it's impossible to miss the work taking place on our Student Wellness and Success Center. It is steadily progressing. The movement has been brisk, and it will be a game changer once it's completed. I very much look forward to when the building is ready and all Gators, that includes you, can utilize its abilities to the fullest. We're growing the campus to meet the needs of both our Gator community and our city in other ways as well. We created the Office of Impact Learning, which acts as a hub for campus-wide activities and initiatives related to high-impact learning practices at UHD. Under Dr. Gulati's guidance, the Office of Impact Learning will continue to promote high-impact practices with an enhanced focus on 4 specific experience types: study abroad, internships, service learning, and undergraduate research. Let us not forget that much of what we've been able to accomplish is due to the rich partnerships we have forged. For example, the Mayor's Office of Resilience and Sustainability hosted its 2nd annual virtual Houston Climate Week with the support of the University of Houston downtown. The week-long virtual conference updated the public on the implementation of both Resilient Houston and the Houston Climate Action Plan. The event also provided a platform for local experts to discuss critical policy concerns to aging infrastructure, as well as issues of inequity. It's really amazing to me that UHD is integrated into such a worthy endeavor. I'm looking forward to building upon our presence as an anchor institution this semester and creating even more synergistic partnerships in a multitude of areas throughout the next months. And finally, this March marks my first full year with the University of Houston downtown. It's been an unforgettable one. It's been filled with cherished moments of getting to know our faculty, staff, and students. I've been able to connect and create relationships with local businesses, community leaders, and our alumni. And it's been my unique honor to empower this university and its community to continue reaching for greater destinies. I owe this last year's success to all of you. You have supported me along the way, and I have worked to do the same in return. Which brings us back to the importance of this meeting. It is my expectation that with today's discussions, we'll be equipped to tackle the road ahead for the next few months and continue working toward greatness in all that we do. The topics we discussed during today's Spring 2022 opening meeting matter greatly, as does the work we have already done to get to this point and the work we will do from there out. Today's events extends far beyond the spring semester as well. It provides all of us with information relevant to our campus, to what's happening in higher education and the world at large. And just as our students apply what they're learning to their personal and professional lives, let's use today's content to enhance our roles on campus and enrich this university for generations to come. Thanks for joining today and all that you do for the betterment of the University of Houston downtown. I'd now like to welcome Interim Provost Akif Usman to share some thoughts.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Cueva and Ms. Smith, for your introductory remarks, and thank you, Dr. Blanchard, for welcoming an important discussion of what lies ahead for UHD this semester, as well as beyond. All of us here in the Provost's office hope that all of you have had a restful break and your semester is off to a great start. Before I update you on some key accomplishments and upcoming activities in academic and student affairs, I would like to take the time to thank you and speak to the value that each of you brings to the university. We are almost 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, and we could not have predicted the twists and turns that we have experienced thus far. Last January, we started with the hopes that the new COVID-19 vaccines would end the pandemic. A year later, many of us have benefited from 3 doses of the vaccine, but the psychological and emotional impacts of the pandemic are ongoing. We have to acknowledge the continued trauma that we all are experiencing and make the commitment to be there for each other, particularly as we go about the business of the university and in our daily lives. In that context, I know that saying thank you can never be enough, and so we in the Provost's office want to acknowledge your efforts today. So thank you to each and every one of you from all of us here in the Provost's office. You have our sincerest gratitude for your continued dedication and tireless support of our students in maintaining the continued excellence that each of you brings to the UHD daily. It is this faith and confidence in each of you that sustains my excitement and optimism for the spring semester and beyond at UHD. As you know, UHD engaged in a soft start until February 7th to reduce campus density. This decision was made in considerations of the COVID-19 infection positivity rates in the Houston region, as well as local hospitalization rates. We know that this is inconvenient for our faculty to shift suddenly and is nowhere near ideal for student learning. However, public safety is a critical priority, and it must drive our decision-making. Based on local, state, and national guidance, we anticipate that infection positivity rates and hospitalization rates will have declined sufficiently to allow us to return to campus fully on September 7th. However, we are continuously monitoring the data and will update the campus with as much lead time as possible if there are any changes to be made. The Delta and Omicron waves of COVID-19 were also considered when building the spring 2022 course schedule with respect to course modalities. Public health data must be considered within the unique context of our campus and how to best serve our students in the pandemic environment. For example, while not the largest university in the UH system, UHD is the densest campus when all folks are on campus. This aspect of our institutional context partially informed our course modalities for the spring. As a result, UHD has the lowest face-to-face and hybrid percentage of courses of all the 4 schools of the University of Houston system. Still, looking ahead, we must engage in critical discussions on how to bring about a more open, face-to-face campus coming into the fall 2022 semester to ensure academic success for our students. We know that this modality is critical to the transformational experience our students get, and that we have prided ourselves for nearly 50 years of UHD history. In academic affairs, we see the culmination of 2 large ongoing projects that the President has already discussed with you: the development of the UHD strategic plan and the submission of the SAC's 5th-year interim report. Dr. Sheila Lloyd, our Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, will speak to those items more later. Another significant recent development is the development of a new website for data dashboards and by the Division of Data Analytics and Institutional Research, or DARE. This is all part of their data democratization project, which seeks to empower UHD stakeholders to make clear, data-driven decisions and increase data literacy, and is a great addition to the e-intelligence tool that many of us use. In programming curriculum, we have just finished the catalog cycle for the content that will appear in the 2022 and 2023 catalog. A special thank you to all members of the University Curriculum Committee for their time and effort in these last couple of months to ensure reviews and approvals have met the deadlines that we require. We look forward to launching several new programs. The Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence was approved last year and is set to begin in the fall 22 semester. 3 programs are in stages of final external approvals. One is the BBA in Human Resource Management. Another is a Master of Science in Strategic Communication, along with a graduate certificate in Quantitative Analysis and Modeling of Risk and Finance. We also have a medical humanities concentration in our BA in humanities, a health and wellness concentration in our BS in health and behavioral sciences, along with 3 official concentrations in our BA in fine arts, music, art, and drama. We look forward to working with faculty on new programming in the coming year, including conversations around kinesiology, cybersecurity, educational leadership, and social work. Right now, we are requesting approval from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board to add 2 new courses to our core curriculum: History 1315, Latino History Before 1898, and History 1316, Latino History Since 1898. As you heard earlier, our Office of Impact Learning is up and running. Through discussions with departments and a new advisory council of faculty, staff, and students, the members of this office are working on new programming to introduce more high-impact practices to our freshmen that include inspirational talks by special guests and freshman seminars, field trips this spring, as well as upcoming summer workshops. Within this office, study abroad has also had a record interest from students to study abroad. Unfortunately, COVID considerations restricted spring and summer experiences. We anticipate fall planning will be viable and are offering virtual programming this spring. The Center for Community Engagement and Service Learning remains active in providing paid internship opportunities for students with community partners, supporting student-based community engagement projects, and supporting faculty with service learning. As we move towards the fall semester and fall scheduling, based on feedback from faculty, students, and conversations with academic leaders and enrollment management, we hope to roll out a new set of scheduling codes to correlate with better defined modalities, separating synchronous and asynchronous courses, creating single HighFlex sections, and so forth. This coincides with our ongoing considerations of online strategies and opportunities for distance education beyond the immediate context of the pandemic. Which brings me to the importance of the coming summer and fall enrollment. As many of you know, this summer session begins a base budget year in which our cumulative student credit hours from the summer sessions through the spring 2023 semester will play a major role in the formula funding that UHD will receive in the next legislative session. We'll be working with the president, the vice president for enrollment management, and the CFO to strategically generate the best enrollment possible to open up new opportunities for our college students and help them with their fiscal resources so that UHD can fulfill its mission to bring high-quality education to the greater Houston community. We'll reach out to faculty and academic leaders for their assistance in this effort, so please prepare to help us when we reach out to you. This is critically important. In faculty affairs and research and sponsored programs, in addition to the Grant Academy and Tenure Academy that is offered every year, we are busy planning for the spring faculty retreat. Heading into a new socio-political era in the United States and climate change, the dynamic stance that inclusive excellence demands is ever more critical to bringing justice and equal opportunity to all citizens in order that they may enjoy the potential benefits of our country can offer. This dynamic stance requires us to be continually self-reflective, ready to look at and engage in new approaches and ways of thinking to serve all students, staff, and faculty, irrespective of race, sex, identity, sexual orientation, and physical capabilities. The retreat will be a half-day event on the morning of Friday, May 6th. The spring retreat will seek to continue our campus exploration of inclusive excellence by showcasing and celebrating the efforts of faculty and staff in the work of equity and inclusion. A save-the-date announcement for the spring retreat will be sent out soon. We are also curating the university-wide college and department service data on the tenured and tenure-track faculty workload to inform conversations about faculty workload toward a new policy. Dr. Johnson will be reaching out to present that data to the Faculty Senate very soon. Only 4 months into the fiscal year, the number of grant awards that we have received compared to this time last year is up by 20%. And by the end of January, we'll have submitted over $9 million in proposals for external funding. Our colleagues, for example, in the Department of Social Sciences, Dr. Katrina Rufino and Dr. Danya Corkin have recently awarded a research grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. We want to congratulate them on this competitive research grant, which funds at a very low level. We were also recently awarded a new 5-year, $2.4 million talent search grant from the Department of Education, and we were also awarded a 3rd round of GEAR funding from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. to help support our students as they return for degree completion. Finally, the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs is developing a new research incubator for our new faculty that will be piloted this summer. An announcement and a call for participation in the research incubator will be forthcoming very soon. In student affairs, a key accomplishment was the development of an in-house student counseling services department. The student counseling has been outsourced for over 10 years, and the growth of the institution's required services to be expanded here at UHD, and we were able to accomplish this by bringing it in-house. The department has grown from 2 professional counselors to 3, plus a director and administrative support. We are grateful to President Blanchard and his support of this effort. Due to the pandemic and need to communicate with students in different ways other than email, Student Affairs made concerted efforts to increase engagement and improve communication with students through social media by posting information about key deadlines, campus and community resources, events, and motivational quotes. As a result, the main Student Affairs social media accounts demonstrated an increase across 3 platforms: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And an increase in engagement and followers were also especially noted on Instagram, with an increase in followers by over 400%. That means something to somebody out there. And collection of 3.9 thousand likes for 210 posts. Be on the lookout in your inbox. UHD social media for host of, I'm going to start over. Be on the lookout in your inbox. UHD social media will be hosting a variety of spring events run by Dean Temez and her colleagues in Student Affairs. Some of these have the tie-ins with interests of activities and classes across academic affairs. Most notably, coming up are Black History Month, Women's History Month, Arab American Heritage Month, National Day of Silence, Sexual Assault and Awareness Month, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and Cinco de Mayo, and there are more. Watch out for news from Dean Temez and Dr. John Hudson, Director for the Center of Diversity and Inclusion. Finally, in the spirit of remembering that UHD is a dense destination campus, the new Wellness and Student Success Center is on track for an opening in early July 2023. This facility will offer a variety of athletic and related wellness resources for students, staff, and faculty. And this place will be a welcome new addition to enhancing the quality of life for the UHD community. On February 18th, you will see a tree sitting atop the frame of the building, signifying the successful completion of the steel frame of the building. It serves as a talisman for success and respect for the lives dedicated to the building's construction, and for prosperity to all of the building's future users. A topping off ceremony with city officials will take place on this day. With this, I'll conclude our welcome and update of the activities of academic and student affairs, and pass the baton to Dr. Daniel Villanueva, Vice President for Enrollment Management.
Thank you so much, Dr. Usman, for the transition over to me as the presenter. I want to thank the colleagues who presented prior to my presentation, Dr. Usman, Dr. Blanchard, Dr. Cueva, and our faculty, our staff senate president, Caroline, for providing the updates and information to the faculty and staff out in attendance today. My presentation is over enrollment management, surprise, surprise, and talking specifically about where we are for spring 2022 and what implications we have with the numbers that we have today, some tactics and strategies that we're implementing here at the last minute as registration concludes tomorrow, and then what we have to look forward as we move into summer 2022, fall 2022, and spring 2023. So we'll get started with spring enrollment data, talking about enrollment headcount and SCHs. Want to start off by showcasing where we are today. You can see here on the screen, I've got a 3-year snapshot of spring headcount. I'm in my office, so if you hear the metro, I apologize. But if you'll look here, the spring over the course of the last 3 years, you've got spring 20, where we ended with official day of 13,422 students. The target for that semester was 13,150. So we surpassed the headcount target by 272 students. When you look for spring 2021, we ended on official day and official reporting with 13,898 students, which was a rather large jump in headcount. And our target was 13,550. So we surpassed the target by 348 students. For spring 22, you can see here's where we are as of today, this morning. I pulled the report about 5:30 this morning, so the 13,802 number was a static number pulled this morning. Our target for spring, after all is said and done on official day with all drops and changes and everything as we get to reporting day, is 14,000 students. Right now, today, we're 198 students away from that number. I want to make sure that we all understand that class attendance drop will occur on February 4th. I'll speak a little bit about that here in just a moment, as well as an enrollment cancellation, which will occur on February 7th. Enrollment cancellation is a process run by enrollment management collaboratively with our partners in student business services to drop students from courses and from the university. If they are not in a paid status. That doesn't mean that they necessarily have to pay for all their classes, but if they're not in a paid status, we have to drop them for reporting purposes. Also, the last day for us to make any changes and get the data as clean as possible is the 20th class day, which is reporting day, which is February 14th. So when we take a look at headcount, SCHs, as we move away from headcount, this is particularly important for spring 22. You can see for spring 20, we were at 128,539. The target was 120,200, I should say. So we surpassed that by 8,339 credit hours for spring 21. We ended with 133,296. The target was 130, so we surpassed that by 3,000, more than 3,000 credit hours. Where we are today compared to the target is 135,683. Our target is 135.30. So we're only 383 credit hours away, but that's the target, what we end at, not where we are today. And that's considering that we still have the class attendance drop, we still have enrollment cancellation, and we still have students having the ability to make any adjustment to their schedule now. So where are we today in terms of these numbers and how it might impact our budget? So looking at the offset data comparison, when we look at spring 22, we can see that there's a decline in day-to-day comparison for the offset number. We, as an institution, had budgeted a 1.5% increase in student credit hours for spring 22 based on previous data and yearly trends. So you can see the data I presented prior to these and the couple of slides before this, that there was a clear indication that there was a gradual and steady increase of SCHs and headcount. Therefore, using a data analysis and trends, reviewing the trends analysis, we had guesstimated a 1.5% increase. Where we are today with 6 days after the start of semester, we are down 1% in headcount. So when you look there, you can see spring 21, 6 days after the start of spring 21, we had 13,882 students. 6 days after spring 22, we have 13,802 students. So we're about 80 students away from where we were this time a year ago, which is about a 1% decline. Most importantly, when we look at our student credit hours, 6 days after the start of the semester, when you look at spring 21, we had 140,000. So although our target is 130, we know that we're going to lose about 10,000 SCHs between official day and reporting day once we clean up the data with the drops, the class attendance rosters, as well as student withdrawals. So looking at that today, we're at 135,683. So we're down 4,901 credit hours day-to-day offset day comparison. So when you look at that, that provides us today with data knowing that we are down 3.4% in SCH going into the last day of registration, which is tomorrow. The budget implications for that today is negative 3.4% plus the 1.5 we had budgeted. And so when you look at the institutional budget for spring, We built a budget, meaning operations, human resources, salaries, M&O, based on the indication that we would have 1.5 increase in SCHs. So the fact that we don't have that, you have the negative 1.5 that you have to take away, plus the 3.4, we're looking at a 5% decline for spring 2022. If we certainly don't make any modifications or adjust that could have some budget implications for spring 22, that would be discussed with the administration and the academic leadership about how, where, and when we navigate that budget shortfall. But there still are some pending enrollment activities between now and the end of the day tomorrow, which could swing that SCH number. We have on the left side here, the 3 activities that could possibly reduce enrollment, SCH, and headcount. That's the class attendance roster. We are going to be sending out detailed information on top of what the Office of the Provost has sent to faculty regarding steps for class attendance roster. We ask that faculty take time to engage with their students, make sure as much as you can that the students that are on your roster are attending and engaged or have communicated to you. You have the option to determine what that engagement looks like. But if there are students who are not engaged in your course, you can submit them to the registrar's office to process those as administrative drops from your attendance roster. That does have an impact on SCH and headcount as well as the student's financial aid package. But we don't want students here at the university taking up seats or ghost numbers within the data if they're truly not here to be engaged in the class. The second thing that could impact reducing numbers is enrollment cancellation. We will drop all students who are not in a paid status on February 7th. That number could range. I don't want to say the number where we are today because we still have a couple of weeks to get there, but there are thousands of students who are still not in a paid status who we're working with daily to get them on a payment plan, a deferment option, or on financial aid to hold them in their classes. The third thing is student behavior with class drops and withdrawals. Students still have the option and ability to withdraw from the university, impacting SCH and credit hour production. Now, when you look on the right and you see the increased activities, the 3 activities that could help increase, as we have a late registration event for students tomorrow, the advising centers all throughout the college and the academic support services, as well as enrollment management, will host a last-minute late registration event. There could be upwards of 200 to 400 students who attend that event. In addition, we launched the Finish Faster grant where we asked current students if they wanted to take an additional class, UHD Financial Aid could help fund that course. We're working today to make those awards to about 1,000 students who will be eligible to take an additional class. That could impact you as a faculty member as they're still registering for classes up until tomorrow. So you could see new names appear on your roster. We ask that you be forgiving that they are late as we are funding them here at the last minute to not only help them complete their degree faster, but also help the institutional budget. In addition, we've extended our federal grant programs, be it the Gator Cares program, as well as our Past Balance Forgiveness Grant. A reminder there that late registration ends tomorrow night. And so these events are in line with our traditional enrollment process and calendar. Looking at operating budget, I shared this last semester. I'll continue to share it this semester. Want to showcase just how important enrollment, headcount, and most particular enrollment SCH is to the University of Houston downtown. When you look here at the green and the yellow blocks, they combine for 68% of the operating budget for UHD. The yellow is the tuition and fee dollars that our students pay directly to the university, and the green are state appropriation dollars that are weighted on SCHs, success points, momentum points, all go into a calculator and generate what we are appropriated from the state. So you can certainly see that although we do well in contracts and grants, and we have endowment funds, the largest part of our operating budget is dependent upon enrollment at this university today. So as Dr. Usman, our interim provost, mentioned in terms of base year and formula funding and state appropriations, I want to take just a second to talk a little bit about what a base year is and how formula funding is important to the university and why each of us play a role in the funding here at the university. So the base period, you can see here is a 12-month period used to measure the weighted SCH to include in the appropriations formula. This is regulated by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and there are group advisory members. Paula Short from the University of Houston system is on that committee, but they regulate how institutions, how the coordinating board will disseminate funding to institutions. So it is in summer, fall of even numbered years and spring of odd number years. So what that means is as we enter spring or summer 2022, as the provost indicated, we begin the base year. That's when we will begin to look at our student credit hours and assess how we have done to previous bienniums, and then weigh that with the coordinating board to evaluate and say your appropriations go up by X dollars. So it's really important that as we move into the base year, summer 22, fall 22, spring 23, that we provide optimal services to our students, both at the advising front, financial aid front, admissions, class scheduling, course availability, so that we maximize the available number of credit hours, courses offered to students so that they can take the maximum amount to not only A, help them finish faster, but B, support the institutional budget. I want to talk a little bit about what a weighted credit hour is. We at the university don't look at credit hours all equally. This is academic capitalism at its best. And so the coordinating board has an actual formula matrix that outlines the value of lower level courses versus higher level courses, upper level courses versus graduate courses, and each one is guaranteed a certain weight. And so what I'll show here on the screen is the actual formula matrix used in the 2021 biennium. We're waiting for the new one to be released. If it has already been released, I could not find it. But I want to show you here the formula matrix that's used by the coordinating board for state appropriations. When we talk about a liberal arts course that's offered, a lower level is a 1-point weighted SCH, an upper level is a 1.75. And when we look at lower level to upper level, we're talking about 1,000 level and 2,000 level courses being lower level courses, 3,000, 4,000 level being upper level courses, masters. And of course, we don't have doctorate or special professionals, but you can certainly see that there is an array of courses here, as well as the appropriate numbers. The numbers are weighted by the value that the coordinating board and the higher education industry put upon this. It's supposed to equivalate the cost of teaching the course relative to how much money you're getting back. So the idea is that graduate courses cost more because there are a smaller number of students. Faculty are expected to research on both the undergraduate and graduate level. And so looking at the cost of not only the instruction, but the research, the service, the operation of the unit, here's the matrix that we use. So for example, when we look at calculating weighted SCHs and credit hours, if you look at a 3-hour lower level division history course, and I'm not picking on history, I love history, with 20 students enrolled would generate 60 credit weighted credit hours, right? When you compare that to a 3 hours master level business course with 20 students, you looked at it would generate 222 weighted SCHs. So it's not just important that we have course availability, that we're responsive to students' needs regarding the course schedule, that we offer them financial aid, that we're proactive in advising. It also is holistically looking at our SCHs within the colleges, within the division, and maximizing the course availability to these students, not only for them to graduate and matriculate through the degree, but also for the institution budget. I want to take just a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about our enrollment projections and where we're moving as we look forward to summer, fall, and spring, and showcase where we are with our enrollment projections from the coordinating board. So this document here is provided with a hyperlink reference there. You can see that for the University of Houston downtown, well, first, they break us off in regions. And so there's a South region, West region, Northwest region. We are the Gulf Coast region. So you can see the comparative universities there are not necessarily comparative academically, but by region. And the University of Houston downtown, in terms of where we were for 2010, we're at 12,900 students. When we moved to 2015, we were at 14,255. Where we were for fall 22 or for fall 20 was 15,239. We have outperformed from 2015 to 2020 by coordinating board standards. When we look at where they predict us based on 2025, you can see we're at 16,417. That is a fall enrollment number that's really reasonable for the University of Houston downtown. If you think about for fall 21, we got as high as 15,600 students. We're really not that far off from where we can be in 2025. And that 16,417 number is not a far-fetched goal for the University of Houston downtown. Where we're supposed to be in 2030, 17,685. And where we're supposed to be in 2035, which is over 19,000 students. Those projections are important for us. They feed into the 60 by 30 numbers for the higher education, as well as the state mandate to increase degree completion here in the great state of Texas. So finally, I'll leave you with this upcoming enrollment and student success initiatives that will center on increasing student credit hour over headcount enrollment. We want to do this to directly impact students and matriculating from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior, increasing graduation rates, and most importantly, in addition, increasing our institutional budget priorities. So as I said, the budget and the base year will be really focused on moving our students from backpack to briefcase. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm about 2 minutes over. Cynthia said I could have a 2 to 3 minute window. So Cynthia, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cynthia Vargas. I'm UHD's emergency manager, and I also oversee the campus contact tracing program. Today, I'm going to discuss some of the changes and updates on the UHD COVID-19 website. But before I do that, I want to discuss a little bit about the local conditions that we can see here in the county and in the region. Overall, cases in our region are beginning to decrease, and it really appears like we're starting to hit our peak, or that we hit our peak for new cases right around the 10th. We really are seeing that decline coming down since then. Now that peak around the 10th, that would mark about 6 weeks from the time that Omicron was first identified in Houston. And that's consistent with the growth pattern that was observed in South Africa and also in the UK. So in the next few weeks, we can expect to see a steady decline in local cases. The end of our soft opening is still scheduled for February 6th. Here at Emergency Management, we're going to continue to actively monitor those local conditions and report on them. But that February date is currently on track to coincide with local cases being more manageable. Next slide, please. So the topic I want to discuss with you today has to do with the new look and updates that the UHD COVID-19 website has. Our landing page has become much, much cleaner and has a better look and is easier to navigate. When you hit our website, when you Google, say, UHD COVID, and you go to that screen, to that landing page, you're going to first see 3 buttons. One of them is going to be report. That's for reporting exposures, symptoms, or diagnosed cases. You'll see another button for cases on campus. That's going to be to see the current number of active cases at UHD. Those numbers are updated daily by 7 a.m. And you'll also see a vaccines and testing button. That button will have information specific to UHD campus testing kiosk or to our vaccine opportunities here on campus. When you scroll down a little further, you'll see what's that second column, that second screenshot. And those are additional buttons for quarantine and isolation guidance, information very specific to students, to faculty and staff, travel information, and temporary work guidance. Next slide, please. Now on this slide, you'll see 4 screenshots. And basically, this is what you're going to start to see, these individual screenshots, once you click that first blue button, that report button. This is a pretty important button, so I want to highlight this one. It'll first take you to that first column, that first screenshot. This page has links to report exposure or to report symptoms and diagnosis. And those are those two blue highlighted links at the top. When you click those, it takes you directly to the reporting forms that you need to submit to emergency management if you've been exposed or if you're showing symptoms or have been diagnosed. As you scroll down that page, you'll find information regarding what an exposure is, the definition of it, and really the criteria that we use here on campus to determine whether you truly are considered an exposure and need a quarantine. When you scroll down a little further, you're going to find specific steps to employees, supervisors, and students. And those are those three subsequent screenshots that you see on that page. You'll also find links to COVID reporting forms that are embedded within that guidance. Submission of those reporting forms is extremely important. So it does a couple of things. It provides university leadership with an idea of how widespread COVID cases are here on campus. It alerts emergency management to areas on campus that may need to be cleaned immediately so we can control the spread here on campus. And it also helps us figure out who may have been exposed while on campus so we know who to contact. So please continue to submit those forms and those reports to us. Next slide, please. Additional information can be found by continuing to scroll through on that same page, and it includes who should and who should not quarantine or isolate. I want to start with who should not quarantine or who does not need to quarantine. So if in the last 5 days you've been exposed to someone with COVID or you've traveled internationally, you do not need to quarantine if the following conditions are present. So one is you've recovered from COVID during the last 90 days and you have no symptoms. And that's regardless of vaccine status, or I'm sorry, that's correct. Regardless of your vaccine status, just you've recovered. Or if you've been boosted, but you have no symptoms and you haven't tested positive for COVID, you also do not need a quarantine. Or if you don't have any symptoms and you recently received your first complete vaccine series. And what we mean by full vaccine series is for Johnson & Johnson, that means you received your first vaccine within the last 2 months. And for Pfizer and Moderna, for you, that means that you've received your second shot within the last 5 months. So it's really important to remember those dates and to keep track of them. So for these folks in this category of who does not need to quarantine, it's recommended that you watch your symptoms during the next 10 days and that you continue to wear a mask for those following 10 days whenever you're around others, whenever it's practical. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about who should quarantine or isolate. So whether you have symptoms or not, if you were exposed to somebody with COVID during the last 5 days and you're actually eligible for a booster shot, so it's those since 2 months from Johnson & Johnson, or it's been 5 months from the other two. And if you haven't received that booster, you should quarantine for at least 5 days from the last time you were exposed. Also, if you're not fully vaccinated, so for example, if you've only received 1 dose of Pfizer or Moderna and you were exposed to somebody with COVID during the last 5 days, you should quarantine for at least 5 days from the last time you were exposed. And then finally, if you're not vaccinated at all, and you were exposed to somebody with COVID during the last 5 days, you should quarantine for 5 days from the last time you were exposed. And those are minimum amounts. If you start to develop symptoms, we want you to report that because that's going to really change your status, your category, and it'll change the number of days that you need to remain at home. So before you come to campus, before you return to campus, if one of these items apply to you, we're going to ask you to submit a negative COVID test via one of our secured portals. A contact tracer is going to contact you. They're going to work with you to help you determine that the best day to test and when to submit your results to emergency management. Next slide, please. Okay, so what if you develop symptoms or you have a positive test? Well, regardless of your vaccination status, stay home. If you're on campus, go home immediately. Notify your professors or your supervisor via phone call, text, email, just whichever you and your professors or supervisor prefer. But whatever you do, do not walk up to them face to face It's highly likely that you're contagious and you need to avoid exposing others. If you're leaving campus or as you're leaving campus and you're sick and you don't know whether you have COVID or not, you're welcome to swing by that testing kiosk to get tested on your way home. Remember, you have to wear a mask. And at this point, you really need to make an appointment ahead of time. The kiosk is currently not accepting walk-ins, just a matter of their own policy. So right now we have flyers throughout campus with QR codes that you can scan and register for a test by using your mobile phone. You can also go to the website and click that vaccine and testing button and schedule your appointment there. There are plenty of tests every day for us. So between 8 and 6, Monday, or really every day of the week, for UHD members, family, and friends, you're going to be able to find an appointment, and you can share that link with anybody else that you want to. Also, remember to submit a symptoms and diagnosis report, or call me or email UHD COVID-19 at uhd.edu. Just use some form of communication to let us know that you have COVID-19 symptoms or have tested positive. We really need to know the classrooms or offices that you visited during the last 24 hours so that we know to clean those up. And also, we may need to notify people that were exposed on campus while you were here. So for diagnosed people with symptoms, you need to stay home for at least 5 days. And that's not just 5 days. We mean at least 5 days from the time that you tested positive or developed symptoms. It may be longer. Persons that have tested positive are not required to submit a negative test result before they come back to campus. We do need you, however, to submit a return to campus form to emergency management. And remember that the criteria to exit isolation is that at least 5 days need to pass from the time that you were tested or you developed your symptoms, and you must be fever-free for at least 24 hours, and most of your symptoms need to have gone away before you can come back to campus. We also recommend that you wear a mask for 5 additional days whenever you're around others. Now, sick people who have not tested positive and you're off in quarantine, you need to submit a negative test result before you come back to campus. And we provide your return to campus form link. There's an opportunity for you to upload your test results on that form. It's a secured portal. If you have any questions regarding any of these processes when we contact you, or just in general, please feel to contact emergency management or contact me so that we can guide you through the process or answer some really specific questions. Next slide, please. Now, there's some confusion related to quarantine and isolation guidelines versus temporary work from home guidelines. And these are 2 separate but complementary processes. The quarantine and isolation guidelines, those apply to any one of us that may have been exposed, tested positive, or developed symptoms. That's the process that emergency management uses to determine whether you need to stay home and then when you can return to campus safely. The temporary work from home guidelines, those were developed by ESO, and it's really specific for employees that have been told to quarantine or isolate, but that want to request to work home remotely during that quarantine or isolation period. Those temp work from home guidelines are not meant to be used to determine whether you should quarantine or isolate. It's what employees can use after they've been told to quarantine or isolate. Well, this concludes my presentation. I want to thank you for your time, and please reach out to me by phone or email if you have any questions and concerns. Goodbye, everybody.
Good afternoon. This is Marty Baylor. I'm pleased to be with you this afternoon and run over a few updates that are going on in finance, administration finance. I've got a couple of slides on some financial data. We'll just hit on real briefly, and then just some other information that I'd like to share with you as we start the spring semester. And certainly want to thank all of those previous presenters prior to me, and they've certainly been giving us some good information this afternoon. To start on the first slide, we're going to go ahead and kind of present the revenues for not only UHD, but for all of our component institutions within the University of Houston. As you'll see, UHD is the number 3, the kind of beige line in the middle. Wanted to show this to you. This was something that was presented to the Board of Regents back in December. Kind of gives us a good perspective of not only where we're at, but how we compare with the other institutions within the system. So UHD had a total revenue number of $240.5 million. And each column kind of shows a breakout of where that, what's that comprised of, with state appropriations at 31.4, all the way through our endowments and gifts at 2.7, and also gives you some perspective as to how we compare to not only Clear Lake and Victoria, but system administration and University of Houston at that point. The next slide is the same graphic and compares us on the expenditure side. All of these numbers, the revenue and the expenses, are broken out in millions. So the 223 is $223.1 million, as line 3 shows for UHD in the center again, and gives us a comparison to our other institutions in the system, and kind of breaks it out by some summary categories of student success for 184 million, national competitiveness, infrastructure at 34.2 million, and then community advancement at 2.7 million. So this kind of gives us a good look as kind of where we're at, but like I said, in comparison to the other institutions within the system, and a good presentation that I thought would be nice to take a look at, that the board also had reviewed. The next slide is just something I want to bring everyone's attention to, and it's pretty cool. Our UHD's Hub program is doing just a great job for UHD. We rank number 6 in the state of all state agencies on their Hub numbers. So we're at 36.67% compared to all the other state agencies in the state, which is quite a few places. This shows the top 25 basically, and that's where the state kind of focuses on, the top 25 institutions in the state and their Hub numbers. This comes to be very beneficial to institutions when they are in a legislative session, because many of our legislators like to see this Hub participation being nice and high. So just wanted to, congratulate our Hub program for working so hard to get our numbers so high, and let our community know that we're really doing well when it comes to this. And this will be a great benefit to us as we roll into the next legislative session. Now we'll get into some little different stuff. We'll hit on the recent passage of the capital construction assistance project that the state legislature passed for us here recently. That would be the next slide. So back in the many special sessions that our legislature had after the post session ended in the end of May last year, one of the sessions, I think it was the last one in October, actually passed what used to be called TRBs, or tuition revenue bonds, and they're now calling them capital construction assistance projects. We were funded at $44.9 million for UHD. And so the plans for that project, it had been previously submitted, was to build out the 4th floor of the Girard Street building above the Welcome Center, as well as do some reconfiguring of the space in One Main. When the Science and Technology building opened up back in 2019, it freed up a lot of space within One Main building, as well as a lot of the labs that were used for the students back, the students and for the Science and Technology. And so we need to come in and do some reconfiguring of that space and make it more beneficial to everybody. Other programs, it's going to be some great space. So this gives us a great opportunity to reconfigure a good bit of space within One Main and make it more productive, as well as we look at what's going to be centered on Girard Street, the addition of that 4th floor. Also, kind of in conjunction with this, we're also kind of kicking off a campus master plan. It'll soon be underway, hopefully later this month. And it's going to help guide UHD's physical development related to it's good timing because it's going to be related to the strategic master plan that's coming out here very soon. We're wrapping that up, I believe, in February. And so it'll be kind of nice to dovetail in with a campus master plan that kind of helps us lay out what the campus needs to look like over the coming 5 to 10 years at this point, considering all of the other moving parts that are around us. It'll be a good exercise for the university. Then the next slide is just kind of touching on continuing efforts towards campus safety. From a facilities management perspective, want to reiterate that from a cleaning perspective, that all classrooms and common areas, high traffic common areas, are cleaned every night to help limit any spread of COVID at this point. Individual offices are cleaned twice a week, and high touch areas like doorknobs, handles, lights, switches, and things like that are disinfected. So we want to make sure that everyone's aware that we're still taking all of these extra measures that were going on in the previous 18 months to 2 years. We're continuing those forward into the spring semester. And we've also continued replacing air handlers and HVAC equipment to improve air quality. Some were just replaced as recently as over the Christmas holidays. So we're continuing with that program, as well as we're certainly in the process of converting all of the restrooms to touchless. Many will have noticed in the one main building that a lot of the faucets have gone to touchless. So that's another one of our goal is to make all of the hands-free faucets and soap dispensers so that again, it just reducing those number of touches that you're actually potentially exposing yourself to anything. And then on the information technology front, wanted to update everyone with the fact that we have updated 20 classrooms so far, with converting them to what we refer to high flex, where they actually have the technology in place to have interaction between those that are in the classroom as well as those that might be online at the same time, between the actual students as well as the faculty member teaching the class. So we're really working down the path. 3 of those 20 were at Lone Star and 17 were on the downtown campus. We're right now working on an additional 18 classrooms in the downtown campus and kind of looking at what does that look like going forward overall, to kind of get us in a good position for having as many as we can set up in this particular format. And then finally, for the continuing efforts from the PPE perspective, we want to make sure that everybody is aware. I know it was touched on by Dr. Blanchard earlier, as well as Cynthia, but we have PPE available for everywhere, for everyone, across all buildings at this point. So we have masks and Lysol disinfecting wipes, hand sanitizer. Everything's pretty much available for all classrooms as well as all departments. If you need PPE and don't have necessarily direct access to it, you just need to reach out to either your department's administrative assistant or your budget administrator within your department and kind of see how you can get your hands on that. If that is needed, then you can certainly reach out to administration finance and we'll make sure that you get what is needed at that point. Kind of one of the last things I wanted to touch on was we've done a recent restructure in business affairs. Since coming on board back in July, I've kind of worked with folks and made some determinations on what might be best for the university going forward. And so we did a restructure of business affairs. And so I'm very pleased to announce that Teresa Menley is now promoted to Associate Vice President for Business Affairs. Teresa's been with the university for 26 years and has some great experience from her field in accounting as well as from a management side. And so I know that she's going to lead this unit be a very strong leader, that's for sure. And in that process of kind of bringing everyone together underneath one model of the one unit of business affairs, we've promoted Preston Henn to budget director, Lorena Sanchez to director of university business services, as well as bringing Crystal LeBlanc into the director of student business services. So we're really happy that we were able everyone just stepped up to the plate over the past 6 months, and we're very happy that we were able to make some of these changes in business affairs. And I think that it'll be well received throughout the university as we kind of continue to help streamline processes and make things maybe work a little bit better than they had previously. So I just want to say thanks to them, and please, if you see them, let them know that congratulate them on the recent changes. So it's pretty much all I've got to say on administration finance. So I'll pass this off to Yvonne Montalbano.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to you all. I'm Yvonne Montalbano, Vice President for Employment Services and Operations. I hope you had a restful and positive winter break and are as excited as I am about the promise of the new year. Today, I'm going to provide you an update on ESO activities and introduce you to our newest employees. The first update I would like to provide is about the 2021 annual staff evaluation process, which I know you all enjoy. which began December the 13th and is set to end on March 13th. The process is currently at the manager completes employee evaluation step. This step ends on January 30th, followed by the second level manager approves evaluation and the manager meets with employee steps. Please remember the meets with step is a very important time for both managers and employees to discuss the past year's performance and talk about goals and expectations for the year ahead. I hope managers and employees use this time to have productive and beneficial conversations. Also, tomorrow, UHD employees will have access to their 2021 electronic W-2s and 1095-C forms via PASS. All employees will receive an electronic W-2 unless they've opted out. For those that opted out, paper W-2s and 1095-C forms will be mailed out by the UH system no later than January 31st. Next, on February 14th, ESO is bringing back to campus the mobile mammogram program sponsored by the Rose. This service provides a convenient way to help UHD employees stay current on this valuable screening without having to spend time driving to locations in the city. Appointments on February 14th are available between 9 a.m. and 3:20 p.m. If you schedule an appointment with the Rose, please bring the results of your last 2 mammograms to the appointment. To find out more or to schedule an appointment, visit ESO's blog, The Hub Digest. Additionally, Texas primary election is set for March 1st. I want to remind you that UHD benefits eligible employees are eligible for voting leave. Employees taking voting leave are eligible for 2 hours off at the beginning or the end of the workday without deduction from pay or leave time. Please remember you must obtain prior approval from your supervisor before taking time off and must record this leave in TRAM under Other Paid Leave and include the comment voting leave in the comment section of the absence request. Another update is concerning our 3 current executive searches for Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, Vice President for Administration and Finance, and Vice President for Advancement and University Relations. The search committee for the provost position, chaired by Dr. Judith Quander, Associate Professor for Mathematics and Statistics, has identified 5 strong candidates that have been invited to campus in early February. Later this week, Dr. Quander will be sending an announcement to the university community, providing additional information. The searches for the Vice President for Administration and Finance and the Vice President for Advancement and University Relations are also progressing nicely. Chaired by Stephanie Records, Executive Director for Administration and Finance, the CFO Search Committee will be conducting interviews with the 7 semifinalists this week, and they anticipate to have their short list to President Blanchard next week. Likewise, the Search Committee for the Vice President for Advancement and University Relations, chaired by Dr. Liza Alonso, Assistant Vice President for Presidential Affairs and Constituent Relations, will be interviewing their top 10 semifinalists this week as well. They also anticipate providing their short list to President Blanchard next week. I want to extend our deepest thanks to these 3 search committees for their tireless work and diligent efforts in identifying these top finalists for these three critical UHD positions. Moving on to upcoming learning activities, if you haven't had the chance to attend one of the Surviving an Active Shooter training sponsored by Lieutenant De La Fans, I encourage you to sign up for one of their 2 final trainings that will be held tomorrow at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. These trainings are designed to help you learn what to do when faced with an active shooter. To register, visit the Hub Digest on the ESO website. In addition to the active shooter training tomorrow, ESO Talent Development is offering several professional development courses this semester, including feedback and coaching, the ideal team player, decision-making and creative problem solving, time management and productivity, administrative professionals training, emotional intelligence, and conflict resolution strategies. For more information on these and future trainings, visit our calendar on the ESO website or watch for articles in the Hub Digest. Also, please remember, in addition to ESO's tailored learning activities, you have free 24/7 access to thousands of online trainings through LinkedIn Learning. Also, I want to highlight a few benefits you may find helpful as you start your new year. If you're a parent and full-time benefits eligible employee, you can use up to 8 hours of sick leave each fiscal year to attend school-sponsored activities for your pre-K to 12th grade children. These activities include parent-teacher conferences, a volunteer program, field trips, classroom programs, school committee meetings, academic competitions, or athletic, music, or theater programs. Additional employee benefits include 24/7 access to UHD's Employee Assistance Program, which includes 3 free counseling sessions per issue, up to 8 hours of wellness leave by completing an online health risk assessment and receiving an annual physical, fitness release time to participate in a fitness activity on campus, and blood donation leave. If you're a Health Select participant, there are additional benefits you might find helpful, including 2 free weight management programs through Wander and Real Appeal, no cost virtual medical and mental health visits through MD Live and Doctor on Demand, and smoking cessation programs. Finally, as previously mentioned, UHD remains committed to keeping our campus community safe and understands the challenges the pandemic has placed on all employees. As Cynthia Vargas mentioned, we have in place guidelines developed and published last October for COVID-related temporary remote work. These guidelines are designed to assist employees unable to be on campus because of COVID-related reasons, allowing for temporary remote work. For additional information, please visit the emergency management web pages. It has been my pleasure spending time with you this afternoon. Now, I would like to introduce you to our newest employees. Following this introduction, Dr. Sheila Lloyd, Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, will join us.
Good afternoon,
In
everyone.
Academic and Student Affairs, we have Ryan Michael Bodine, Program Coordinator in Urban Education. Tamara Alitha Davis, Clinical Case Manager, Student Health Services. Dr. Henry Faust, Assistant Professor, Computer Science and Engineering Technology. Wyke Freeman, Academic Advisor 2 in the College of Public Service. Carlos A. Gooden, Executive Director, Graduate Business Programs in the Maryland Davis College of Business. Diamond Jones, Coordinator, Veteran Services in the Veteran Services Department. Marissa Leal, Library Assistant in the Library. Camille Rout, Administrative Assistant to Distance Education, and she is graduating this spring semester. Way to go, Camille. Samantha Denise Salazar, Administrative Assistant 2 in Student Health Services. In Administration and Finance, we have Darian O'Keefe Burns, Security Officer in the Police Department. Lance Deshawn Daniels, Security Officer, Police Department. Isaiah Robert Hernandez, Support and Training Specialist 1 in Technology Learning Services, and a proud UHD alum. Welcome home. Jonathan Lopez, Labor Technician in Facilities Management. Brittany Nicole Preston, Parking Assistant, Auxiliary Services. Tyler Zachariah Rayford, Security Officer in the Police Department. Adam Valdez, EHS Technician, Environmental Health and Safety. And Eliseo Angel Vallejo, Security Officer, Police Department. Lastly, we have Enrollment Management, Jessica Aguilar, Customer Service Technician in Financial Aid, and Brandy Vaikia Weber, Department Business Administrator 3, Enrollment Management.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the presenters who've come before me. They provided some much needed information, and I hope that you'll find my updates on strategic planning and the SAC's 5th year interim report used to you. Could you please advance to the next slide? And we can skip that one, please. Oh, go back one, please. So you've heard the theme of the strategic plan, which is called A New Paradigm for Houston's Most Diverse University. And we have a new paradigm, actually, a new theme, which is a university of choice. And you'll see why that's relevant as we get into this presentation. Next slide, please. This is our strategic planning committee, and it consists of 22 members, faculty, staff, students, community members, and an alum and former Board of Regent member. And next slide, please. The committee's work, and I've been hearing from some people around the university, what have they been up to all this time? Well, I'm going to tell you more about that. Please advance to the next slide. Okay, so the strategic plan has 7 components, and I will go through each of them, starting with the vision statement. And the components are forward-looking, they're integrated, and they're mutually reinforcing. Everything is in conversation with each other, and we try to make sure that things informed each other and were interlinked. Okay, this is the proposed new vision for University of Houston Downtown. There were a number of visioning exercises in which various constituents at the university got together and discussed their view of what UHD might look like in the next 5 years. So the vision is where we want to be. And the language here is the University of Houston Downtown will be an inclusive university that contributes to the region's intellectual, cultural, and social growth by serving as a university of choice for Houstonians seeking to impact their communities. And you'll see a university of choice is in our vision, and it is also the main theme for our plan. Next slide, please.
Dr. Lloyd, I'm sorry to interrupt. It sounds like there's some shuffling close to your microphone that we're hearing.
Could you say that again, please?
Yes, it sounds like there's some shuffling next to your microphone that we can hear.
No, there's not. Sorry about that. Okay, so moving on to the values, the guiding principles for this plan. The guiding principles are the general guidelines that apply to all of our goals and that set the foundation for how we will operate. And there are the following values or guiding principles. There's teamwork, which includes creating an environment that is collaborative, respectful, collegial, open, and deliberative. There's competence, which addresses the promotion and the rewarding of mastery, accountability, reliability, and responsibility. The next value or guiding principle is relationship. And it is informed by belief in emotional intelligence and the acts of being approachable, sincere, empathetic, encouraging, and engaging with our students, partners, and each other. The next is leadership, which we see as being visionary, bold and action-oriented while encouraging and nurturing. The next is innovation. And there we mean cutting-edge research and technology and evidence-based teaching and learning practices. Following that is integrity, inclusive, principled, transparent, and reflective. Following that, the next to last is student-centered, although that is our primary reason for being, is to remove the barriers and create opportunities and to engage our students and accelerate them on their education journeys. And we have lastly, diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. As an institution committed to educational justice, we believe that it is important that everyone succeed. There are 7 strategic goals, and the goals are the highest priorities for the next 5 years. They are the broad aims that define accomplishment of the mission and that represent the most important priorities for the university in the next 5 years, as I said before. They are student success, optimize lifelong student success and engagement, anchor institution, cultivate a diverse portfolio of institutional partnerships, academic environment, cultivate a dynamic academic environment where we nurture students to their fullest potential that they may better impact their world. Engage faculty, be the employer of choice that values and supports a diverse and inclusive faculty and staff. Sustainable operations, and the goal there is to maximize our operational portfolio. And we have visibility and recognition. The goal is to enhance the reputation and visibility of UHD. And lastly, knowledge creation, to promote knowledge creation and dissemination to and from faculty, staff, students in the wider community. Next slide, please. So here I have the positioning statements for each of those goals. And positioning statements are the direction and the focus for UHD in the next 5 years. They capture how we will succeed in achieving our mission and realizing our goal. And student success has the positioning statement. We believe that there's a continued national and regional demand for diverse skilled talent. Therefore, we as an HSI and MSI will enhance our efforts to support student success by increasing financial support and resources, offering robust and intentional advising and mentorship, focusing on intentional integration and assessment of life and employable skills, providing accessible information about opportunities such as research and internships. Next slide, please. Our next goal is anchor institution, and their positioning statement is, we believe that universities serve as an anchor for the community, for communities by providing resources and expertise for mutually beneficial and reciprocal partnerships. And you've heard Dr. Blanchard mention anchor institution a number of times, and that has made its way into the strategic planning. And so given that belief, we will develop and foster relationships with corporate industry partners, work with community organizations to address local needs, to strengthen community engagement, develop cross-sector partnerships to address regional, for-profit, nonprofit, and government sectors' workforce needs, increase the diversity of the university funding portfolio through partnerships, and cultivate fundraising to benefit our students, university research, and institutional infrastructure. Next slide, please. Academic environment has the following positioning statement. We believe that universities deliver transformative change through accessible, inclusive, and innovative programs that drive student success and socioeconomic mobility. Therefore, we will review and improve our academic programs to ensure opportunity and accessibility. By ensuring our academic programs are accessible, inclusive, innovative, and that they maximize opportunity by increasing flexible course scheduling and modalities, and by making curriculum and pedagogy culturally relevant. Next slide, please. For engaged faculty and staff, the positioning statement is, we believe that the competitive market requires that UHD be an employer of choice, progressive, innovative, and flexible. Therefore, we will recruit, retain, develop, support, and compensate a diverse faculty and staff that reflects the student body in the greater Houston region. Next slide, please. And for visibility and recognition, we have the following positioning statement. We believe a university's reputation impacts every aspect of its success. Therefore, we will increase our efforts to promote institutional excellence. Next slide, please. And our last is knowledge creation. We believe that universities contribute to their communities and stakeholders through knowledge creation and dissemination. Therefore, we will invest in our research creative infrastructure to drive innovations in our disciplines or areas of expertise, community, and beyond. Next slide, please. So here's what to expect. I've had to modify this schedule after I created these slides, so I'll let you know what the new schedule is. The first draft will be available at the end of February, beginning of March. We'll hold open forums and community review of that first draft at the end of the February, beginning of March. A penultimate draft will be available to be reviewed in April, and the plan will be completed and disseminated in early May. Next slide, please. So that's what I've had to share with you about strategic planning. And I want to turn your attention to the 5th year interim report that we will be submitting to the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. Next slide, please. So let me first mention the steering committee and project management team. The steering committee is chaired by Dr. Leah Campbell, and the project management team chair is Lucy Bowen, and Tahisha Hobbs also serves on the project management team. And you'll see in the boxes there the members of the steering committee. And I'll just give you a minute to identify who those individuals are. It's a great cross-section of the university. Okay, next slide, please. So the report. Every 10 years, institutions under SACS accreditation undergo a comprehensive review. At the 5th year mark in that 2 years, there's an interim report. And that interim report allows accreditors to monitor, to ensure that institutions having access to federal funds continue to meet accreditation standards. And it also allows accreditors to review multiple sites since last reaffirmation, which for us would have been 5 years ago, but there's no need to visit the site since we're in COVID conditions. And the components of the report are 5 major parts. For the first part, and then there's a review of off-campus instructional sites. As I said, they will not be reviewing the off-campus instructional sites. And there are 22 standards to be reviewed by SACS. And I'm belaboring this because I want you to know what a major undertaking this has been by Dr. Campbell and the rest of the steering committee. Okay, on to the next slide, please. I want to turn your attention to part 5 of the interim report. It is called the Quality Engagement Plan. And our QEP, as it's called, was the Academic Achievement Through Community Engagement Plan, the Quality Enhancement Plan, sorry. And For us, that involved preparing students to academically and critically investigate community issues. Next slide, please. So the QEP is a document created by an institution that recognizes key issues identified by institutional assessment, which focuses on three things: student learning outcomes, or the environment supporting student learning, or all of which must be aimed at accomplishing the institution's mission. So that becomes the driver of the development of a plan for all of SAC's institutions. And as I said before, we created a plan 5 years ago that is, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about, because part of section 5 of that report is that we talk about the lessons that we learned from the QEP. And can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so standard 7.2 indicates that the institution has a QEP that has a topic identified through its ongoing comprehensive planning and evaluation process, that it has broad-based support of institutional constituencies, focuses on improving specific student learning outcomes and/or student success, and that commits resources to initiate, implement, and complete the QEP, and includes a plan to assess achievement. And we've done many of those things there, and there are lessons that we've learned along the way. And can you please go to the next slide? And this is my final slide. The ACE plus CE, or ACE Advisory Committee's lessons learned were to ensure that future QEP proposals are planful and allow sufficient time for widespread faculty and staff engagement, and also ensure that the QEP, as well as other pilot projects, includes plans for how successes from any such program can be institutionalized, including where it could be housed, and a commitment to funding and leadership oversight structure. And that concludes my presentation. And if you happen to have any questions that I haven't addressed here in the presentation, please feel free to email me at lloyds@uhd.edu. Thank you. And the next presenter closing us out is Michelle Duval, President of SGA. Michelle.
Good afternoon, Gator family. My name is Michelle Duval, and I am the president of the Student Government Association. I want to welcome you back on behalf of the student body. I know there's been some ups and downs as we battle the new Omicron variant, but I want to personally thank each and every one of you for help keeping us safe and continuing to show up every day. I know it's not always easy, but I want you to know that you are appreciated. As we embark on this spring semester, I want you to remember, you are capable, you are important, and you're a Gator. Have a great semester.